Well, hi everyone. This is our second day of yoga camp and our first day cooking in my kitchen here at the Ananda community. And I am really excited to do this with you for my first time, cooking for kids anyway, online. So hope you have a lot of fun. So this week on Sunday, guess what Sunday is? It's Father's Day. And I thought a great idea for all of you is to make strawberry shortcake for dads. And I mean, you could even go out and pick your own strawberries, and hopefully they're in season in Washington. Usually they are in June. So maybe you could make a trip out to do that on Saturday or tomorrow. And anyway, so what I have done here is I have it all pre-mixed out to make the video just a little bit shorter, but yet you and your mom or auntie or cousin or whoever is over at your house, you can make the strawberry shortcakes together, okay? And I'm not like these fancy people that have like the ability to like just bring one right out of the oven that's already finished. So it'll take a few minutes. I probably will have to stop the video and we'll have two parts to the video. But anyway, I want to get started and show you what to do. Now, the very first thing to do is what? Wash your hands. So I'm going to come over to my sink and I'm going to take a bar of soap and I'm going to wash your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and dry my hands off. Okay, so the very first thing, if you touch your head, if you touch your nose, if you touch your mouth, what do? You have to go back and dry your hands off one more time. So this is actually, I want to turn the camera just a little bit. This is actually all set up. And in France, they call this mise en place, all in place. So then when you're busy cooking, you have it right here. This is what the chefs do, the fancy chefs, when they're cooking very fast in restaurants. They have everything all measured out, so it's very, very easy to just flip in and do. So I went ahead and did that today. Now, at home, you can decide if you want to do that yourself or not. But today, I wanted to show you that I did this today for you. And what I'm going to do is type up the recipe and give it to moms. Hopefully right on the video, it'll be right on the video with my video maker. But if not, then I'll type it up and just send it off. So the first thing we need for shortbread or strawberry shortcake is flour. So I have some organic flour, and I always keep my flour in the freezer. And the reason I do that is because it stays fresher, and also those little bugs don't get in it, which in sometimes Washington that actually happens. I haven't had that happen here in California yet, but I also like to start with cold flour when we do kind of a pastry. And a pastry is like a croissant or a muffin or a scone or whatever you might have that would be a pastry. Like if you went and got a pastry at a bakery, I guess a donut would be considered a pastry. So I have 3 cups of flour that I measured out, and now I'm sifting. And why do we sift? Sifting just helps everything aerate, and it gives a lighter texture to the flour and then also to your ending result. So I'm going to, the very last little bit, I'm going to add in the salt and put it right in with the flour so it mixes evenly. So this is 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna just, I'm gonna pour it right in there with the ending of the flour that we've measured out. Just stir it up a little bit and then use the sifter and continue to put that into the main bowl. There you go. And I'll just set that aside. Now I also saved a little bit because when we put them out to cut them, we're going to need a little bit so they don't stick. So you need a little bit more flour. I didn't measure this, probably about a tablespoon or two tablespoons. But just so you have a little bit left over so you can have out. And then put the rest back in your freezer. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now, it's very funny. I went to my, again, this is one of the things I keep in my fridge. I went to my fridge this morning and I didn't have any baking powder. So I made a concoction and I'm hoping that it works. It is 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of vinegar. Now, you probably recognize that. That is like, if you ever made a volcano and you had it all mixed up and it went whoosh. Well, that's kind of what happened in the bottom of my bowl, was we had a little bit of that going on. The next thing I'm going to do is add the butter. Now the butter is one of the most important parts. So I'm going to open up my fridge. And again, I'm using a vegan butter. And it's 1/2 cup. And any kind of butter for you will do. And so this is 8. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop, Alexa. My Alexa was on timer. So this is 8 tablespoons, which equals 1/2 cup. Alexa, stop. Okay. So it's nice and cold. You want it cold for your pastry. Always very cold. And I'm going to put the rest back in the fridge. Now, if you have any questions that you want to ask me, you can type them in or give me an email, and you can type that in and I will try to answer them for you. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add our butter. And how we do that, there is a pastry little tool, and I seem to not have my pastry tool. I must have left it in Seattle, but you can use 2 knives like this. And what you want to do is you want to cut it up into little tiny pieces. I hope you can see what I'm doing. And I'll get a little closer so you can see a little bit easier. Okay, and you want to make these pea-sized. Does that make sense? So you're going to just cut away, cut like this. Just cut away. And it's pretty simple, but you want to make sure that they're all even. You don't want a big clump like this. You want to make sure that you get them all even. And try very hard to get it, make sure that there's butter mixed in all of the flour, okay? So this technique is how you actually make a lot of things like pie crusts and pizza dough and all kinds of things. So this technique is really good for other things as well. So we're just gonna sit here for a minute and try to get these down into little baby sizes. Now, boy, my house today is really hot. We're in the 90s today and going towards 100. So it's pretty warm in my house. You might see me drinking some water here. So again, just keep going until they're all even and they're all like little pea sizes. Now sometimes I like to use a fork too, to get them smaller, quicker. I will use a fork because this is more like the pastry tool, which I don't have. I guess I need to get one. So I've got some pretty big pieces here, and then you just take that off and, you know, scrape it off, and they're done a little smaller. Just keep trying to get those pieces of butter evenly mixed into the flour. If you got a brother or sister, maybe you can take turns. And you're just doing this. You're just crossing over one hand, the other hand, or you can just use one hand. I find that it's easier to use two hands. Okay? So, the next thing to do, I like to kind of mound it in the middle. So you can do that with your knives if you want to, or if you like to, you can use a spoon and just kind of make a little ditch out there on the side and just kind of bring it into the center like that. Okay. And then the next thing you're going to do is you've got the next ingredient is sugar. I forgot to put the sugar in. So 1/4 cup sugar. Go ahead and just dump that in. And then just mix it. You go ahead, your hands are clean, so you can go ahead. And if there are some little clumps, go ahead and just you squish them out. So that's fine. Again, don't forget your little ditch. Adding in that sugar. So there we go. And the next thing to add in is 2 cups milk and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So 3 cups. I have soy milk here. You can use any kind of milk that you want, but I have soy milk. And this is 2 tablespoons of lemon juice squeezed. Now, before I pour that in, I just got to show you. These are the lemons that we use here in California, where I live. They grow right out my door. Aren't they incredible? Can you tell how big this is? Here's my hand, and here's how big the lemon is. These are called Meyer lemons. They came originally from China, and they're a cross between a tangerine and a lemon. And I wanted to open this up for you so you could see it. I'm taking my parrot knife, which I love. It's my favorite knife of all. And open this up, and it looks just like an orange, doesn't it? But if you were to bite into this, it's not an orange. But the flavor, I'm gonna put just a little more in. The flavor is amazing, 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 amazing. So when you're at the store, look for Meyer lemons if you can, and they're really, really great. Okay, so I'm gonna put that, what did I say? 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed juice. And again, you can do that with your mom, and then just add it right away right here to your milk. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take your fork and slowly, your little ditch, you're going to pour the milk into your little ditch. Not all of it, so just go a little at a time. Make a circle. And then slowly incorporate that. Take your bowl, turning your bowl with one hand and mixing it in. And when you see that that's all mixed in, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add some more. So again, make your mound, going on to the outside. I wanted to tell you also that with that lemon juice, I already added the vanilla in it. There's a 1 teaspoon of vanilla too that you add to this recipe. And so I'm continuing to stir and rotate this. Hopefully you can see me, okay? And then keep adding it. Now, if you're in Washington, it is a little bit cooler there, so it's going to stick a little bit better. But if you made these like in the summertime, you might have to add a little bit more liquid, and I'll show you why later. But you want to try to get it so that when you look into your bowl, you don't see any of the flour that hasn't been wetted down, pretty much, and it begins to stick on your fork. So that's another clue. So I'm just going to continue to pour the rest of this around. And it's looking pretty good here. And now the next part is really fun. Okay, so I'll just pull it off there. Put my thing right here. And the next part is super fun. I've had this forever. This is what I make my pies and everything on, and I'm gonna lay it out. But you can just, if you don't have anything like this, you can just do this on the counter in your kitchen. But I use this because it has, I got it probably in the 60s. It has the sizes of pies and how big to make it and equivalents of different kinds of ways that you can make different kinds of biscuits and this and that. So now you're going to take this, and you may need to put a little flour on your hands. I'm not sure. But you're just going to make it. You don't want to, the more you handle it, the tougher your biscuits are going to be. Okay, so you just want to get it in a ball and bring it over. And you can see that it's kind of falling apart. That's okay, because the warmness of your hands are going to help it stick. Now, in here, I could have added a little bit more liquid to it, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to work out okay. Because the warmness of your hands creates the dough, helps it to stick together. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep patting it down and turning it. You want to keep dough moving. That is the trick. I learned that a long time ago when I was in high school, when I took my very first cooking classes. You want to keep your dough moving, okay? And but in this case, we're not going to really roll this out a whole lot. So because it's a biscuit, it's not like a pie dough. So you get your, next thing you're going to do is you're going to have, I forgot to show you this, you need a rolling pin, and you want, again, put a little flour on it. That was what that extra flour that we measured out was for. And then just gently going to roll it out. Now, another thing you could do, if you wanted to, is just push it down. You don't even have to roll it, because remember what I said, the more that you mix with it, the tougher it will get when it comes out of the oven. So you just want to push it down, you can, but if you'd like to, just a little tiny bit. Make it even, make your dough even. I kind of roll back and forth between doing that. It's starting to stick because it's so hot here, so I got to keep moving. Okay, then when it gets to be about, oh, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, I guess, you take a glass jar, and again, I'm going to pour my flour right here, and I'm going to dip my flour into the jar so it has it right here on the edge, okay? And then, this is called parchment paper. I'm going to take my parchment paper and line my pan, just like this, okay? And that helps it from not sticking. And then you're going to take your glass jar and you're just going to push it down and make an impression. Don't twist it too much. I'm going to take my knife since it's so hot and it's kind of melting, the butter's melting, and I want it to stay cold. And then you just put it on your plate. Did you see that? Here, let me do one more. I'm going to add this over here. Again, so dip it in. Make your impression. Take your knife, just like a little, or if you have a little spatula, that's great too. And you're just making your little biscuit and putting it right on there. And we just continue to do that. I'm smelling that vinegar. So it must be working. And then you just keep going. Now, if you have some left over, these are pretty good size, so you have some left over, you can cook them and wrap them for another day if you want to. Now, these don't really have much sweet in them, so the cream I'm going to show you, which actually I forgot to put it in the, it's supposed to stay in the refrigerator overnight, so I'm going to make that video and send it to you separately on how to make the coconut cream whipped cream that put on the top. So after our class tomorrow, you'll be able to get the video and then make the cream. Watch me make the cream. So these pieces that you have, it's totally fine to go ahead and wrap them up. Again, it's getting super hot here, so I'm going to actually just lay this and put it on in something. Maybe some foil or a baggie. And put it in the freezer for another time, because that's a lot for us. So I'm just going to put it in the freezer in a baggie or in a plastic Ziploc bag or whatever you have at home. So then we're going to cook this in the oven at 340 degrees. And oh, I forgot. You can also put a little tiny bit of milk on the top. And what do you think that will do? What do you think? Does anybody have a clue? What, cooking is such a science. It's a science because it's all these ingredients together. It isn't as easy as it looks. So I'm just going to put this on top so that it browns really nicely and evenly. And then These go in the oven for, I think it's about 15 minutes. So I'm going to put them down there in my oven. And as we're waiting, I thought I'd show you the next step, which isn't hard. It's quite simple. We'll just put this away. It's always better if you can clean as you go. And be sure that that's part of being a good yogi too, is helping with the cleanup. Because then moms will want to have you help again. Plus, when you grow up and you start learning how to cook by yourself, you're going to have to clean up anyway, right? So better start when we're young. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up here just a little tiny bit to get the flour up. And the next thing to do is the strawberries. Now, this recipe called for 1 pound of strawberries. And I got 1 pound of strawberries last week. But when I got time to use it, they'd gone pretty bad. So I have pretty much prepared them already for you. But what I like to do is take this little knife, and this is a good practice, and just make them into little teeny bite-sized pieces. Now another thing to do is to get a cutting board, which is, I don't know where my cutting board is right now, so I'm going to just use the table. And you just want to make fine little lines. This is a really good exercise if you haven't had much chance to practice. And just cut little tiny bits. Oh, I saw a fun little heart inside that one. So you want to just do small little pieces for the strawberry shortcake. It's really fun when nature gives you a beauty. Here's a little heart inside. And there's hearts everywhere, as we know. And you know that it's filled with love if you see a little heart. So I've already washed these, so that's another thing you can do with your mom, is go ahead and wash them and take the tops off and cut them into bite-sized pieces. Now you may want to put a little tiny bit of sugar on there, so that's up to you. We don't always do that at my house, but it's up to you and your parents what they would like to do, because it will be pretty tart if you don't use a little something. So the best way to do that would be just to add some powdered sugar, which I have. So you want to do just about 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, which is not much. So I'll show you how much that is. And I need to set my timer. I didn't do that, did I? I could say to my Alexa, Alexa, turn on timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Fancy, fancy. You can again add, this would be really fun, if you had some more lemon, to add a little lemon over the top of your strawberry. And another thing that would be really fun is to go out in your garden and pick a little lavender. If you have some lavender, and just put it on the top, that would be really, really beautiful. So maybe I'll do that at the end when I put the whipped cream on. So here's a little bit of the powdered sugar, and again, you just want tablespoons, which I have lost my tablespoon, so this is what is a tablespoon. And you're just going to add 3 of those in. That's kind of a lot for this amount. This isn't quite as much as we would need. So I think that's enough. And then you would take your spoon and just stir that up. Okay, so that's all ready to go. And you can keep that with a little plastic over it, or if you're gonna have it right away, you can just bring it out after dinner. But I'm gonna put mine in the fridge because I like it nice and cold. I like my berries nice and cold. So that's pretty much our class for today. And oh, let's see. We want to wait and see how they turn out, don't we? So I'm going to stop the video and start it again so that you can see how they turn out after they're finished out of the oven. Okay? So, bon appetit, and we'll see you in a second.